Well, welcome everyone to today's episode of TMI Advice You Didn't Want. We are going to be diving into a pretty controversial, I think, anyways, topic, which is all about healthcare and taking care of your body in some non conventional ways that can generally be looked at by the regular medical community as a big no no. But we're going to dive into why we think it's a big deal and why it's important to start doing. So, in case we haven't met, my name is Karen. I'm one of the co-hosts here.
And my name is Ashley, and I am definitely excited to have this conversation. Healthcare is, I've been on the controversial side of healthcare for most of my adult life, if not all of it. So,
Yeah, honestly, I'm going to come at this from a person that has literally worked in
Mhm.
the healthcare system within the United States, right? So I know, like, as somebody that has practiced anesthesia, I know what it looks like from the
Mhm.
Western medicine point of view. And honestly, for me, I started really changing my tune towards Western medicine when I started getting sick and I would go to the doctor and they would continue to give me the runaround of, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe it's this. They would do all of these tests for me, and nothing really ever seemed to be effective. Nobody could ever really give me answers. And I know within the Western medicine community, that's really common because if I'm being honest with you, Western medicine is really good at some things, but really bad at other things. So for me, if I've been in a car accident, hell yeah, I'm going to go and have Western medicine. I'm going to have a trauma doctor work on me. I'm going to have all of the Western medicine things. They're really, really good at the acute, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you're bleeding. We need to help you.
Mhm.
Not so great when it comes to the chronic, though. When somebody comes in and is saying, oh, I'm not feeling good, this is what my symptom is, you tend to start to get the runaround because you're starting to, not starting to, you are in a chronic state at that point.
Mhm.
Something in your immune system is not happy and your body is showing symptoms of it.
Mhm.
And they're not very good at figuring out what's causing those symptoms. They're not very good at looking at the root cause because let's be honest, a lot of doctors, myself included, have been like trained to say this is what the symptom is. This is what we do as far as a drug or cut the thing out. Like
Yeah.
that's literally what a regular doctor is trained to do. You're either said, okay, like this is what the symptom is that the person has. Here's the drug that you can give them, or refer them to a surgeon. Those are
Yeah.
the two things, period, point blank, that what a Western medicine doctor does. And as
Yeah.
I said, if you are in a acute state,
Mhm.
that's great. But if
Mhm.
you're not, and if you're more a chronic state where maybe you have consistent pain, or maybe you have consistent vertigo, or maybe you have consistent just overall not feeling good, that malaise,
Mhm.
that is like, honestly, like I would not go to a regular doctor. This is somebody talking about, like, I'm in the Western medicine system, I do
Yeah.
anesthesia. And I'm like, nope, I won't do it. Like, they're not really looking for the root cause of something. They're just saying, well, this is your symptom. Here's a drug, have fun. And
Yeah.
then they let you go for an XYZ amount of time and hope that you're okay. Where a lot of times, that's not necessarily what ends up happening. And so a lot of people, I know a lot of people that have been gotten into this runaround of, well, this doctor said to take this thing and then they sent me to this doctor. This doctor told me to stop that thing and gave me something else. And so you're
Mhm.
literally in this cycle where it's like, what's wrong with me? I can't figure it out. And none of the doctors seem to know either.
Yeah. Well, that was my situation. I know I've talked a little bit about my life, and not in all of the detail because it's been a long time, but as a teenager, I couldn't sleep. Like I
Mm.
could not sleep. And it's actually interesting because my sister's husband asked me this last March when I was with my family for my grandma's funeral if I struggle with sleep. And I was like, no, I don't struggle with sleep at all. But I used to. Like I used to sleep like 3 hours a night, like
Been
as like
there.
a preteen teenager.
Hmm.
And I was never like quote unquote sick growing up, but I had hives, like we were talking about this earlier. I had hives all over my body, especially my thighs and around my like lymph nodes, like neck kind of area. Um, and I would just be red all the time and itchy all the time. I would take Benadryl and allergy medications and all that kind of stuff, put loads and loads of lotion on, try to figure out something that would work. And then I would struggle with sleeping, one just because, and then one because of my itchiness. And I would literally just keep a bottle of NyQuil in my bedroom. Like I was
Mm.
like 15 or younger. And I would just take a swig of NyQuil and try to get myself to sleep. Um, and so I never talked to anyone about it. I just kind of was like, I need sleep, so I'm going to take NyQuil. Like I don't even think
Yep.
my parents knew I was doing that. And then I would just stay up reading or doing random things throughout the night. And then when I was 17, I came down with mono, and
Mm.
I had never really been sick. And if I was sick, you didn't know it. I was really a go-getter and overachiever and all that kind of stuff. And when I had mono, my whole life came crashing down around me. I actually wanted to go to school to become a surgeon at the time.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I don't like school. And it pulled me out of like the system. And I was like, why am I overachieving in this system that's not doing anything for me?
Mm-hmm.
And it was this like kind of small wake up. Um, I missed 75% of my grade 12 year with mono. I was that sick. The next year, I had shingles and could barely function. I was in university, but I was struggling to make it to classes because I was so exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started going to doctors because I was like, I literally thought I was going to die because I was
Mm-hmm.
that exhausted. And they put me on so many medications. I didn't have health care, so it was costing me an arm and a leg, and I was on so many meds. It was making me feel worse in so many different ways, and nothing was actually helping. So then they started doing blood infusions to build up my hemoglobin, and that wasn't working. I started reacting even worse, where I would like be screaming in pain after I had the infusions and like just crazy, crazy stuff. And then nothing helped. I was significantly worse. I literally felt like I was dying and was seeing all these different specialists, all these different doctors, and they just kept unloading me with more pills that did nothing but make me feel crappier.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
being in the hospital getting these infusions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I was introduced to Western medicine. And it was like, or not Western medicine,
Eastern,
Eastern.
right? Yeah. I do that
I
sometimes too. I'm like, wait, Eastern, Western, hold on, let me think about it.
Yeah, and I was introduced to a MD doctor that had went holistic, and he took me off of everything, my infusions, my pills, all of it, put me on supplements, did a live blood analysis, which I know there's a lot of people that aren't fans. I'm kind of like hit or miss with the live blood analysis of how effective they are, but my blood, looking at it initially, he was like, I'm actually surprised you're alive because your
Mm.
blood moving. You have no circulation. And I would pass out and faint all the time because I had no circulation. I didn't have enough blood moving through my body. So I would faint. Um, and then 6 months later, following his protocol, barely changing anything with diet or exercise, just cutting out the crap of my prescriptions and infusions and adding in some decent supplements because I didn't have the energy really to do anything else. I felt like a new person. And my live blood analysis showed it too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then it started me on this like huge, huge journey. And then I got run over by a drunk driver. And
Oh
so then,
boy.
yeah, I was like finally there, finally feeling like myself again, finally feeling good. Then I got hit by a truck and had a brain injury and broke like 25 plus bones in my body, and internal injuries. And then I restarted. And I know for a fact, had I not been where I was, I wouldn't have survived.
Yeah.
Because one, my body wouldn't have been strong enough
Yeah.
to have survived, and two, I should have died in thousands of different ways. And it was I did CrossFit and I ran and I all that kind of stuff, and that's what they said. That's what Western medicine said saved me, was that I was in such good shape, that
Mm,
my muscles and my core were so strong that when I broke my spine and my neck and my ribs, it didn't kill me
yeah.
because I'm structurally sound. But yeah, anyways, that's my little tangent of um yeah, I don't think I'd be alive today had I not in either case. So
Yeah. And I mean that your case goes to show that like checking out other options if you're feeling like you're in the runaround with
mhm.
like I don't feel good and no doctor can tell me everything is coming back normal, and I'm putting up little air quotes because that's what you get told, like,
Mhm.
oh no, everything's coming back normal. I know my really big issue happened, it was probably like 5 years ago at this point, where I started having this cough that just wouldn't go away, right? It was just I was consistently coughing, and I just didn't feel good overall in general. And I went to the doctor, and they were like, oh, let's do this allergy panel. Let's check out your blood work, the whole deal. Everything came back normal. Everything.
Yeah.
And they were like, I don't know, let's put you on these allergy medicines. I remember the nurse practitioner looked in my nose and she was like, you have allergies. I know you do.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, but everything's coming back normal. And so she's like, I know, but I want to give you these allergy medications anyways. So she gave me, I think it was two or three at the time, right? And um, I I remember taking them and
Mhm.
going, this is like water. Like, not, this isn't doing anything. This
Yeah.
isn't really that effective. And so I just stopped taking it, and I was like, at that point I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go back to a regular doctor probably ever again unless I have something acute,
Yeah.
because that all they did was, it's like this broad spectrum that they do, right? Like a regular doctor is just doing a broad spectrum of what they see. They're not looking for the root cause of something.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, like, when I finally started like doing things, like I started doing cranial sacral therapy, I did allergy testing. There was lots of stuff that I did, honestly, and finally got to the root of it, where it was like, oh, a lot of this is coming back because my diet, I was eating a lot of gluten, and my
Mhm.
body was responding to it. Now, um, since like I've been doing Dr. Joe's work for 9 years, maybe 10, I don't know, but I think it's been about 9 years. But I'm glad that I had that introduction to Dr. Joe 9 years ago,
Yeah.
because that caused me to look even deeper than the diet. Because for me, like probably 99% of things that go on in my body is because of emotional stuff. Like
Yeah.
because of a thought, some subconscious thought that's running in the background, that's playing over and over again, that I don't know that's there. That
Mhm.
to me is the biggest reason for having any kind of like allergy or getting sick all the time or whatever. Like, right? Like there's
Sure.
something that I'm playing over and over in my head. And so I had quit doing Dr. Joe stuff for 2 or 3 years, right? So I started doing Dr. Joe 9 years ago, did it for a little while, and then stopped doing it for like 2 to 3 years because I had some really big things happen in my life that I thought, because these happened, I can now no longer meditate, because I was just like, my brain was all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't meditate. Like, it's not even possible for me to sit down and not think. Like, I don't know
Right.
how to do that right now. Looking back, that was the worst thing I could have done for myself, because that's what created the
Mhm.
symptoms in my body, right? So, but when I finally started looking at what was going on in my brain too, like what is the pattern that I keep repeating over and over again, that's when
Mhm.
it was like, oh, that's what's causing the allergies, the issues in my gut, all the things, right? But no Western medicine doctor would have said that to me unless they have been in this world where they're going, wait a minute, like the drugs that I'm giving to my patients, and I have met some, like it's not as common as I would like yet. I do think there's a huge shift that's happening in the Western medicine world, but like there are doctors out there that will go, wait a minute, like some of my drugs are helping some of my patients, but then
Mhm.
there's a lot of cases where it's not helping my patients.
Yep.
What else can I help supplement
Hmm.
doctors with, or what can I help supplement my patients with? Right.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of them out there yet, but there are some, right? And the saddest thing that I will see in Western medicine is when a Western medicine doctor will completely poo poo naturopaths or holistic doctors or any of that. Like, and I have seen it. It's so sad to me. I know there's a doctor that I've worked with recently,
Hmm.
and he said at one point, this was months and months ago, but he said, I won't I won't even talk to a patient if they tell me that they're doing holistic naturopathic stuff. He's like,
Wow.
once they tell me that, I get rid of them. They're off my books. And I'm like,
Wow.
hey, listen, like the thing is like he is so indoctrinated in what he does, and that's fine. But the thing that I want like all doctors and nurses and healthcare practitioners out there to understand is that sometimes what you're prescribing people isn't necessarily helping them. And so they're looking for other answers. You can't
Right.
keep beating your head. This is what I see a lot of Western medicine do. They're beating their head against that same wall. Here's a pharmaceutical, go get surgery. They're beating their head against that same wall. And when
Yeah.
somebody doesn't fit into that box of pharmaceuticals or surgery, they don't know what to do with you. And
Yeah.
so you get labeled as a problem child.
Hmm.
And it's really sad to see because, like, as somebody that's in Western medicine, I see how there's such a big gap. There's a
Yeah.
huge gap between how we can actually help people that do find themselves in a
Hmm.
chronic state.
Yeah.
And until more doctors, and I think it's happening, I see it slowly progressing, but
Hmm.
until more doctors start to wake up and go, wait a minute, this isn't a one size fits all kind of situation for people. I need to actually give myself the
Hmm.
time to spend with my patients so that I can actually look deeper with
Yeah.
them and actually talk about their mental health. What
Hmm.
are they eating? What is it that they're doing on a regular basis? What does their stress look like? These are important questions that I feel like a lot of doctors just breeze right by. And the other piece of this is too, is that I think like a majority of people in the Western world are stressed the fuck out and don't even know it.
Oh,
They
for
don't
sure.
even realize it because this is normal for them. I
Yeah.
know I didn't realize how stressed out I was for years. And that
Mhm.
was the reason that I had that cough
Yeah.
for so long because I was so stressed out. And
Hmm.
I would have told you, oh no, I'm not stressed out. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on, but I'm
Yeah.
not stressed out. And looking back, I'm like, I remember telling people, like you talk about the whole sleep thing. I
Yeah.
remember telling people that unless I exhausted myself during the day, I couldn't sleep at night.
Well, for me, it was almost like a pride thing. It was like, oh yeah, I don't need sleep. Like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and like kind of like the whole like toxic overachiever
Mm.
syndrome thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, that's crazy that what you were saying about the doctor just cutting people out like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
It's real common, unfortunately.
yeah, for me, like I had no answers really, but my iron was low and I failed a tilt table test. I don't know if you know
I
or have
actually
heard.
don't know what that is. Yeah. Illuminate
So
me.
I don't know if it's like actually called that, but my iron was low, and then they put me on a table because I had low blood pressure. I was passing out a lot.
Oh, okay.
And they put me on a table where you have to, like, you're strapped in, you have to stand completely straight up and you can't move
Hmm.
to see how long it takes you to pass out if you do. And I passed out like right away.
Mm.
Um, And so they're like, yeah, you need compression tights. So they sent me to go wear like old lady stockings to like push my blood flow and circulate my blood flow better. Put me on birth control and put me on iron supplements on top of this was before even. So then on top of all that was the more stuff I had after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And none of it helped at
Yeah.
all. Like it didn't do anything for me at all. And then they're like, "Oh, you have chronic fatigue syndrome."
Mm.
There was like like you said, the problem child slapped the label on. Now we don't have to deal with you. Then I had an accident. I'm a pedestrian. A drunk driver ran me over, going like 50 miles, 80 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
He ran through a red light, hit me. I broke all my bones, all of them
Yeah.
obviously, but had a lot of shit happen. And then I think it was 2 years down the road, I was trying to get money out of the insurance company, which was an absolute joke.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not like US. I did not get two pennies rubbed together. And so I was trying to get money, and they were like, "No, you have fibromyalgia. You don't have. It's not from getting hit by a drunk driver. You have fibromyalgia."
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's a testament to our corrupt insurance and doctor Western
Mm-hmm.
medicine system.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Yeah. I
definitely.
do want to say I don't want to jump on doctors that have been trained in Western
Oh
medicine.
yeah.
I truly believe that a lot of them went into medicine because they wanted to help people genuinely. I have met some pretty phenomenal doctors throughout the years, and I do believe that they do have this desire to help. But what happens is that you get brainwashed by this is the only way to do things. And all that other stuff is kind of weird, kind of woo woo, right? Like that stuff it's not scientifically proven that it works. Whereas if you really look at the data, there is a lot of data for things like, we'll
Yeah.
just say chiropractor. There is a lot of data that
Mhm.
helps support talking about if you have a healthy spine, you're
Yeah.
most likely going to have a healthy life.
Yeah.
But a lot of people within Western medicine will talk about how chiropractors are kind of woo woo and kind of like pseudoscience. And but like it really, like, all I gotta say is that yes, Western medicine doctors want to help. They
Yeah.
do. But I feel like they also have their hands tied in a lot of ways because at a certain point, they don't know what to do. And
Mhm.
sometimes they don't know how to say that. Whether
Yeah.
that's because they have an ego that tells them that they have to know what the answer is, or they just like they have all of this knowledge and so they're like, oh, I can figure it out. I don't know what the answer is for everybody. I'm not going to put everybody in a box. All that to say, I do think that they want to help. They just feel stuck in a lot of cases where people like chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia,
Mhm.
like those are diagnoses that are given to people when it's like, we don't know what to do with you. We don't
And
know what to say
yeah.
for you.
And I don't think that that's their thought process.
Mm,
I don't think they're like, oh, I don't know what to do with you, so I'm gonna put this label on you.
right.
There's checkpoints that they have to follow to be able to diagnose me with those things.
Absolutely. Hmm.
And so, I don't know what my exact words were, but to me, the system is corrupt. The doctors, maybe not specifically the doctors are corrupt, but it's the whole system is
Yeah.
corrupt, which creates corrupt doctors because you have this is the whole can of worms. You have
Right.
the um schools that you're learning
Right.
in, the after you go to school, like the community that you're surrounded by is all this way.
Right.
And so then you have this issue where you're taught a certain way, you're taught to think a certain way, and you can't stray off of that. Like this is what fibromyalgia is. They checked all
Right.
five boxes, you have fibromyalgia.
Right.
Not like, oh fuck you, I'm gonna
Yeah.
slap you
No.
with it.
Yeah.
But when the system at a core is corrupt, then whether they know it or not, whatever their intentions are, they're being trained by a corrupt system is more so what
Absolutely.
I mean. And
Yeah.
same with insurance companies. Like I used to say to the insurance company, like, how do you sleep at night? And they were just following the
That
rules.
was their
And
protocol. Yeah.
and they don't see what the protocol does to like the real human on the other side of things, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like going back to the root cause again. Like this is
Yeah.
that like what you just uncovered there is like we're talking about getting to the root cause of what's causing something with our bodies. We have to
Mhm.
also talk about the root cause of what's causing issues within Western medicine, right? It's not necessarily the doctors. I wouldn't sit here
No.
and say the doctors are completely at fault. I would say that they need to start thinking for themselves and opening their eyes a little bit more. But like at the end of the day, they're not the root cause, they're a symptom, right? So the root cause comes way higher up, right? Somebody that said, I can make money off of people's illnesses
Yeah,
is
exactly.
going, I can make money off of people's illnesses. And
Yeah.
there's something to be looked at there.
Hmm.
And I think if you're finding yourself in a place where you're going around in circles with your doctor, maybe it's time to try something new. Maybe it's
Yeah.
time to try to go and say, wait a minute, I have a root cause for what's going on in my body, but there's also a root cause for what's going on within Western medicine that they really are struggling to figure out what's wrong with me. And they're
Yeah.
just giving me medication upon medication. And
Hmm.
it's just continuing to further the issue. And I do think that a lot of patients and doctors are waking up, but
Yeah.
I want them to wake up faster, honestly, because there's a lot
For
of sick
sure.
people out there.
Yeah. Well, and that's where all the systems and all the puzzle pieces really come together for this perfect storm. So if you're like, I can align with what you guys are saying, like I think two really great books are the Louise Hay That You Can Heal Your Life book that we've talked about before, and When the Body Keeps Score.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
those are great places to start because
And Dr. Joe Dispenza, anything
yeah,
Dr. Joe Dispenza, I've met people that have healed themselves from the most ridiculous shit you've ever heard of. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so check those kind of things out and really kind of start unraveling um, the mess that we're in.
Hmm.
Because we can look at our food, we can look at our prescription, we can look at screens. Like there's so many aspects of what's happening and how it's making us sick, and they all fit together in this perfect way.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Perfectly
with that,
horrible for us.
yeah, it's a whole process for sure. So, but with that, I think we can call this one a wrap for today. This was a good conversation. I feel like we could keep talking about this too, but
For sure.
but guys, if you are listening to us on your favorite podcast host, go ahead and give us a 5 star and let us know what you'd love to hear us talk about. And then if you are watching us or listening to us on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe. And we would also love to hear what you have to say also. So I guess we're going to call TMI Advice You Didn't Want a wrap for today. See everyone next time.